Kate, one of the product trainers here with Newline. I wanted to go over and give you a nice overview of our brand new software, the Newline Engage Cloud. So this is our cloud-based collaborative whiteboarding software, and it's fabulous. So prepare to get excited. The landing page is just newline-engage.com. And even from the start, you have options. If any of you out there have been with me on trainings on the past, you know, we talk about all the options. So of course, that fabulous word will carry with us. We have options in Engage. Two options as you're getting logged in here. You have teacher mode. Great thing about teacher mode is what that does is it allows you can create, your whiteboard book, because you can have all of the pages, which is fabulous. And then you can invite your students. They will get a copy of your pages. So they're not actually annotating on your originals. Woo, wonderful. But you'll be able to get into their workbooks. You can banter and go back and forth with them, but it's going to keep yours pristine and nobody will be able to dive into it. Now, if you're feeling a little bit more spicy, a little bit more excited, you can go ahead and enter in through collaboration, through Collaborate here. If you go into Collaborate and log into Cloud, it's a free-for-all. Everybody can write on all of the pages. So really great for brainstorming, any sort of group work, whether it be, from faculty perspective or obviously from a class perspective. But if you want everybody working together on the same boards, live time, you're going to want to go into Collaborate. Of course, you do have the option, if you wanted to jump into somebody's class, if you get their class code, you could go ahead, grab that and then hit join class. And I'll show you as we get in where you find those class codes. So don't you worry. We're going to start just by going into teacher mode, because say historically, it's probably where you're going to spend a little bit more of your time. Welcome to Engage. So as you come to the home page here, say first things first, I absolutely recommend that you name your board. If you forget to do this and then you create about 15 whiteboards during the day or whiteboarding books, you're gonna have to go through each one and try and figure out what you were doing. So definitely I'll say first things first, give your board a name. So we're gonna go ahead and just name this test board. So now that I have it named, you can also see this is the code. So that code that I just talked about on the last page is just right front and center for you. So making it easy for you to get people connected and integrated, but just looking general orientation of the platform here. We'll kind of start on the left side and work our way up and around. So of course, anytime you see 3 dots or 3 lines, Goldilocks and the 3 bears, you have options to try out, see what works for you. Is the porridge hot or cold? But set this up in the way that's going to make the most sense for you. So you can go ahead and expand your tool. So instead of just having the tool icon, it'll also tell you kind of what everything does. Definitely helpful, I'll say, as you're learning the platform and you're kind of getting your groove with how it works with your curriculum. You may notice you have lots of hearts. See, there's going to be hearts all over this. If there's something that you really like, maybe it's something you're going to enjoy and use a lot, make sure to tap the heart, and then what it's going to do is it's going to make that prominent, so that way you don't have to hunt for it next time. So very handy from that perspective. Of course, your drawing tools, you've got options here as well. So all sorts of different types of drawing options. You can go ahead, I'll say kind of general responsiveness if you're going freestyle, but of course you can kind of change things up on the top toolbar as you start working with your drawing tools. But again, icons that you probably have seen before, you may be a little familiar with, pens are pens, highlighters are highlighters, as we sort of work our way down, lassos are lassos. So things are going to behave in a way that you are familiar with, hopefully. To change your ink color, there is a little circle on the top, and if you tap that, of course, it shows the color ink, as does all of the accent color here of whatever your pen color is going to be. If you want to change it up, then all you would have to do is grab another color, and of course, you can move it around and you can choose different, tones of whatever it is that you want to work in. And you can see that the accent colors follow suit, which is really nice. So no more wondering what color your pen is going to be. You are always going to know. So it works really, really well. Definitely appreciate that. Of course, you have text boxes, your erasers, object eraser. If you grab that, just like you would do your hand before, it erases the whole thing, or you can do whiteout, so you can do a little bit at a time. Now we start to get into some of the more collaborative features and really some of the fun things, those on-demand items that we've heard a lot of people requesting. So being able to upload files from your computer. So right now I am running this from my computer. Say never fear, rumor has it, very, very soon we're going to have this as an application in the Newline App Store. So that's fabulous. You'll be able to get that right away. But of course, upload from your computer. So all you have to do is tap here. And then of course your file system is going to pop up and you can grab anything that you want to import in. Also with uploading, right now I'm actually signed in and I've collaborated with my Google Drive. If you are a Microsoft house, then it would be your OneDrive. This actually talks seamlessly with both Google and OneDrive, which is fantastic. So fully integrated on both sides of the house there, which is great. You can pull in your materials that you have created or share things back and forth with, which makes it obviously very easy. Just some additional little items you can pull in. One for sure I want to point out, this is new and this is fabulous, if I do say so myself, incredibly handy too, which is sensational. You actually can turn your phone into a scanner. So what you do, I'm just going to grab my phone here. I open up my camera. I am going to scan that QR code and you may be able to see a little link pops up. And now it's going to open up and it's going to give me two options to begin with. The first one is upload a picture and then it says scanner, or it's going to be draw photo. So if you are an art teacher and you have better artistic skills than me, I struggle with like the little stick figures. You could go ahead and draw and upload instant drawings into here should you want to do that. But the phone scanner for upload picture, I can either pull things from my photo library, I could choose a file, or I could take a picture. And I really like this because I've had faculty members, reach out. You've gone on amazing vacations, done really great things on summer breaks, just really good experiences. You've seen historical monuments and all these fabulous things, and you want to share those with your students. You're talking about something, maybe you're talking about oceans and you were scuba diving. It makes it very easy for you to bring things in. For the live scanner, take a photo. I'm going to go ahead and just open up my camera here. I have a little card. I can go ahead and snap a picture of that. Then it's going to ask me if I want to retake or use photo. I'll say use photo. Then I can go ahead, I can add more, but I'm just going to go ahead and upload this one for the sake of time. And that is going to pop in. You can kind of see it in the background there. I'll close my scanner and here we go. So now I've uploaded this just right into my panel. So it makes it very easy for lifetime uploads. So say quick and just a press of a button. So really nice feature. That's something new. And of course that is under upload, which makes sense because you're sending something to the panel. So again, upload. Next option is, let me actually add another page. To add another page, all I did on the bottom here is I just hit the over arrow. So to give myself page 2. Under tools, lots of different options in here, of course. Again, if there's something you want to favorite, you're going to use it a lot. Tap that little heart. Let the system know that you're like, yes, I love this. And it'll always be front and center for you, which is fantastic. Grids, I want to point out grids. So on grids, lots of background options. These are going to be, your grid paper, your primary paper for the music teachers out there. This is going to be all of your music grids as well, which is fantastic. But just know, of course, you have options. So pick whatever is going to work for your classroom, for your students, for your needs, and away you go. Go ahead and add another page. Also in tools, we have, some fun little interactive games and things like that. I know Wordle is a thing right now. Oh my goodness. So if you are a Wordle fan, you are also going to be a chattel fan. So what chattel is it's essentially Wordle. You can do a random pick of a 5-letter word. I'll say good luck because it could be anything. If you want to tie this in though to your curriculum, maybe you're doing test reviews, you have, vocab that students are trying to learn, just something fun to tie into whatever your lesson is. Maybe you do a word of the day. And so first thing in the morning, you open up your Engage, you pull up Chattel and you have, something where students can come up and try and guess and figure it out. buys you time while you're doing lunches and attendance and last minute emails and everything else that happens in the morning. So if you want to go ahead and enter in a word, you can pick anything you want. So I'm going to go ahead and choose boats. And I'm going to hit create, and there we go. Probably looks familiar. So really nice to, again, this is probably a game that either you or your students or both are, engaging with or have been for a little bit of time. So plug and play allows you just to kind of grab it and go, which is really nice. So easy integration into your classroom. Moving down the line, just some more additional tools at your disposal. Moving lasso, things that you probably, again, they're kind of self-explanatory or you've used them before. I do definitely want to highlight this select tool. So the select tool is essentially your mouse. I like to point that out because as you start creating some interactive click and play games or click and fill forms and stuff like that, it's going to be important for students to know that that select tool is how they choose things or select boxes that they want to write in if you're looking for feedback. So we'll mention that one again, but I definitely wanted to take just an extra moment to talk about that. So now we're going to shift up to the top of our panel. I say this is kind of our board management or, our kind of a book of pages, our book management for this session, which is great. So your reverse arrows, yes, you can clear things. So I like to point that out. You have options. You have timer options, which is kind of unique. So nice if you're, doing any sort of graded assignment, tests, quizzes, something like that, and you want the board to lock down. So after a certain amount of time, students can't get back into their page and change answers and do things. That is where you would find tools like that. The ever important question mark. When in doubt, ask a question. This will bring you to the guided tour. And I will say the first time that you go into your Engage Cloud account, and I'll say every time, unless you say, no more, it will always bring you through the guided tour. And it will walk you through kind of a general overview of where you can find certain things and just the layout of the Engage platform. So that's always available for you there. And of course, you can see some additional resources. And that's always going to be at the top of your screen in that little question mark. If you like to jazz things up, there you go. It's all about the bells and whistles, getting students excited. If we can make it intriguing and inviting and they're looking where we want them to look, half the battle, because at least we've got their attention, to the point where we can dive into things, which is sensational. So there are animations and things like that in here. The next icon is going to be my participants panel. Right now, you just see one little C because it's just me. But if anybody else was logged into my board here, if I had students logged in, I'd kind of see a stack of little dots back there. Get questions on this. Absolutely. You can do recording in here. And as we get into more settings, you're going to see additional recording options. So yeah, if there's something that you want to record and keep, you have that ability. Of course, locking pages and just additional management of your Engage platform, which is handy. 3 dots, again, 3 lines or 3 dots. You got options, check them out. If you wanted to lock objects on a page, you can go ahead and do that. So maybe you set something, you want to lock those in, and then you can annotate over it, but you want to erase your annotations. The background stuff will stay. Adding polls, class boards. If you want to change backgrounds. So again, not only can you set, your grids and your paper and really what that content looks like, you can set different backgrounds. If you wanted to change your background color, matching themes or, holidays, time of the year, or whatever it may be. Yes, you can enter in hex codes if you have specific colors. Maybe it's Spirit Week and you have, your garnet and gold or whatever it may be, orange and blue. I mean, whatever your specific color is potentially for your school's colors, you can enter those in, which is fantastic. Also really great. If you wanted to adjust this, maybe you're working in a classroom with low vision, so you want to have, a really dark or black background and have that white writing on top of it. So that way it really pops. Also, choosing things that may be like muted colors. So if you're working with students on the spectrum or something like that, just a lot of customization in here, which is phenomenal. Other things is background image. So there are just a whole bunch of, fun background images. If you, again, just want to spice it up, all you have to do is select one of those and there we go. So now we have, just kind of a nice background. And obviously, you can see it, but it's not overwhelming. So you can still annotate on top of it. But again, it's interesting. It's intriguing. It captures the eye, which is phenomenal. Spacely Sprocket, anytime you see that settings cogwheel, go ahead and take a peek. I always tell folks when you see settings, go around the block and meet the neighbors. It takes a lot to kind of snarl things into a mess. Phone a friend, reach out for help. Everything's fixable, so we can walk you through it. But really see what's in here, because a lot of times I found that questions folks have as we start going through settings are like, oh, there it is. But everybody's always afraid to go in here. So you can poke around without changing a whole bunch of things. So going through, of course, just fonts and fun things like that. Student view. If you want to change how many tools your students can see, that can be incredibly handy. I'll say just based on the needs of your students. And of course, sometimes different ages. One, are they going to get distracted by having a ton of tools available, in their Engage board? Or is it just going to be easier if they can only select from a few things? They're just kind of getting going on some of this stuff. Whatever you want to do, you do you, but just know you have the ability to customize this to your students' needs. So that's very handy. Of course, you always have more settings. Dark mode, I do want to point that out. That'll kind of make a whole background essentially a dark charcoal. So the board, the background, everything. If you're in a really, really highlight area and you're just getting, a lot of glare and reflection, you can go into dark mode. So say if you're in like a commons or kind of an atrium type area, that can be handy. But going into some of the more advanced settings or the more settings options, you can customize the tools for students. Different things, students not being able to add pages. Here it is, enable webcam video recording. So if you have a webcam that's connected to your panel or to your computer and you want to add, an additional element into your lesson, you can go ahead and do that. So you can enable those types of things. Readers, you can turn off, just so you know, you can turn off pen color and board color match. So you have that ability. If you want, the sides to be, blue or green or whatever it is, and you don't want it to change with your pen, it doesn't have to. So you can customize that to whatever your preferences are. Of course, just different types of options in here. Just make sure when you change options that you save it. So I do like to point that out. And that's all in your cogwheel. Invite a friend. Don't do this alone. If you want to invite anybody to your board, of course, your students, you can go ahead. They could scan with the QR code. You have links, you have the class code. So lots of different ways to get connected, directly sending those invite links, connecting that to your Google Classroom, Teams. Again, my Microsoft folks, we got your back. This is my favorite thing. I'm not going to lie. I really wish I would have had this when I was a substitute teacher. I was a nightmare. Don't ever let me in your classroom. I was just trying to survive. Like your best laid plans are out the window. If I would have been able to be invited into the actual whiteboard that had all the curriculum and content, my days would have gone so smoothly. It would have been wonderful. So you can show co-teacher invite and allow other teachers to collaborate with you under teacher mode, which is fabulous. So as I mentioned, your substitute teachers will love you forever, giving them that pre-made content ready to go, and they can just go through it. They don't have to hunt for it. It is sent directly to them. So again, making it very easy. The other thing is maybe you have student teachers or you're doing some team teaching. It allows everybody to have that instructional role as you get going on your board. So just really nice. And all of that, of course, is available under the invite. The last thing I tapped was actually the erase icon. So you can see it says I'm still in erase. So if I was going to do anything, I don't have anything to erase, but that's where I would be. We go ahead and hit my select. So now you can see, just to change it up, it's going to show that I'm in my selection tool. So we'll always tell you what icon you're working in. So if you're ever like, oh my goodness, what was the last thing I chose? It will tell you, which is fantastic. All right, working down the right side of the Engage platform. This is where all the spicy stuff is. I'll give you a hint. You can actually hit any of these icons and it will take you to kind of the whole page. So you can go between them here. So just know it does not matter. If you have things, you can hit any of them and grab all the really fun things. So if you have objects that you've created and saved in here, your objects will appear here. The next icon over, I always say it just looks like pictures. So these are gizmos and essentially are pictures. They're just fun little icons, things like that. They're going to spice up whatever it is that you may be doing, making your lesson a little bit more intriguing, a little bit more engaging, and really come to life. These are going to be static. So I point that out like you stick them on, which is fabulous. I'm going to pop up to the top here. So you can see there's just a few categories. So take your time, really go through things. Not everybody is probably going to use every single category. I always say favorites. You have your favorites at your top. You can see I've tapped my little heart boop, and save those. So they're always going to show up under my favorites. But you can go through that. You have their alphabets. And even as you're working in, your sign language, you have, full picture and then kind of an animation. So I do like that. It gives you additional options, or if you just want the drawn outline. So even within the categories, you have additional options. So all sorts of stuff. Again, tap those hearts, get your favorites in one zone so that way you can find them quick and easy. But all sorts of fun, different things that, again, you can just add to each of your pages, which is fantastic. I'll say I really like, just any icons in general that add another visual component, talking about DNA and how everything matches up, as you're pulling in different things here, thinking about, I'll say as I want to move it around, I can go ahead and grab things. So I can do this and I'm like, hey, guess how things pair? They fit together, and this is how they pair in the DNA. It starts to click and it starts to make sense. So now you can kind of see how some of these things add that extra element of understanding to whatever it is that you may be talking about. So that's fantastic. So that's one of the things that I use. I have a biology course. Again, like I said, we're talking about DNA, and now I can get all of those little components and really show people like they match up. So as I talk about them pairing, now they can see them pairing, which is sensational. But continuing on, festivals, the math symbols, all of you math teachers and all of your complex equations, go nuts. Enjoy it. You have everything in here. I'm going to give a shout out to our Midwest trainer, Sam. She loves the rewards, and I love it because it shows her positivity. But being able to, when you are working with your students and you invited them and they have their own boards and they're going through and they're putting stuff together and they're like, I'm getting it. Oh my goodness. And you can see it like happening on their face. Like, okay, I'm following along. Like everything is making sense. Just being able to, give them little icons to show that you're proud of them and that they're doing good. And I'll say there are lots and lots of reward icons in here. So it's not going to be the same thing every single time. Talking about, hey, you're going to get the certificate and then you're going to get the ribbon and you're working your way up to the trophy. And if everybody gets a trophy, we're going to have a pizza party. So build on things, all that kind of fun stuff. So you can, zap those into everybody's pages as they're working. So lots and lots of options under rewards. And of course, different things in here, just other categories and stuff like that. So a ton to talk about. I'm not going to go into all of them because, of course, it would take a little while. But really get in and explore and just have fun with it. So gizmos are going to kind of be your stickers that you can add in to jazz up any content that you're creating. Going over into the star with the little wheel, those are going to be your widgets. So the widgets are things that are going to be interactive, moving. There's parts that are going to be happening. Add link. Exactly what you would expect there. Your basic and graphing calculators, of course, your clocks, factory form. We're going to come back to that in a moment. All sorts of different ways to create things. Your piano. So my music teachers here, if you want your piano to be available, just making it fun. There's a xylophone too. So you can just have all of the fun. I have this sound turned down right now because it's actually really loud, which is great. Students love it, but you can move this around. So again, no, it's not just stuck in one spot. but just really fun that you can add these types of things. So maybe, again, students are coming in from lunch, you can put something fun that they can play with before you start your lesson. I'm gonna go ahead and close that. Let me add another page just so we kind of have a clear space to work here. I'm gonna go back into widgets. So working my way down, spinner. Everybody loves a spinner, so you can grab your spinners and your spotlights and their stoplights. Linking in websites, YouTube, of course, bringing in video content, just a lot of great things. I'm going to tap this form factory or factory form. This is where you can create knowledge checks. So along the way during your presentation, super fun, really awesome. With this, I get a lot of questions, how does it work? A lot of information, but how do I really set it up and make it successful? So as you're doing this, I say different ways to incorporate this. Maybe you have 15 slides and every third slide, you just have a little knowledge check question to make sure everybody's kind of grabbing the key elements of what you're talking about. You may be emphasizing this, but somebody's like, ooh, this is really important. And you're like, come back up here, my friend, this is where we want to be. So if you want to start honing in their attention and focusing on key things within your lesson, this becomes really important. The label is really going to be your question. So I would say if you're using this as like a knowledge check question, you can also do free text. So you give them not even necessarily a question, but a statement, and you want them to talk about it, whatever it may be. But I'll kind of use this as question for the sake of building this example here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do L because I'm designating the label. So I do L for label. Then I go into my semicolon, and then I enter in my question. So I'm going to do, who is a dog? So we're going to be talking about different types of cartoon characters and who is a dog? Which one of these folks is a dog? So that's going to be our question. Then I go ahead and I enter. So I have a question on the top, and then I'm going to start entering in my options. You have different options for your answers. If you do C, it's going to be a checkbox. So it'll be like a little square box that they can boop, click on, and they'll check off. You can also do radio button, which is like a fill in the bubble. So it just looks a little bit different, whatever works for you, whatever you prefer. Or if you wanted a free text box, you can actually do a text box as well. So we're going to go ahead, we'll do one of each. So we're going to do a checkbox first, and we're going to say Chase, because we know Chase from Paw Patrol, that's a dog. So we're going to use Chase. And then we are going to do R for a radio button. So that's going to be the bubble. So we'll go ahead and grab that. And then this option is, we'll say Dory, because we like the Finding Nemo series. Or if somebody wanted to write in their own, we're going to give a free text box. So we're going to do T to designate we want a text box next. We are going to hit our semicolon, but then we don't write anything after that. That's just a placeholder saying put a text box here. If you write something after that, you're going to be filling in the text box. So just FYI. I'm like, all right, I think we got it all together. This is how I want it to be. I hit create. And it's going to go ahead and create my factory form. So really nice. Like I said, you can use this for all sorts of different types of things. If you wanted to enter it in, knowledge checks along the way, or if you wanted to just have that, I had it twice. That's all right. Double trouble. There we go. If you wanted to have it at the end, or perhaps you're going to enter multiple in, maybe you have one whiteboard that has potentially like 9 factory forms. So it's got 9 questions and it's a quiz. And then you can lock it down so they only have 10 minutes to answer their questions. And then when you're going through and grading it, they can't change it because their board is locked. See how you can start layering all these fabulous things. But again, I'm going to make sure I'm in my selection tool. If I wanted to go ahead and select things, I can go back and forth. You can see I can enter in my text box here. So if I wanted to enter in my text box, I can go ahead and do that. So lots of different ways to engage with this. Of course, see, engaging, it's fabulous. But that is your factory form, and that is part of your widget, gizmos, additions, fabulous things on the right side of your panel. We're going to go ahead and bring it home, just talking about your navigation options on the bottom of the screen here on the panel. Of course, it's going to show you how many pages you have in your Whiteboarding Engage workbook. Thumbnail view, just like if you're working in slides or PowerPoint or something like that, it's going to give you kind of the outline of each one so you can see what's going on. You can click between them, really, really nice. When you want to hide your thumbnails, all you got to do is click on it again. You can go into grid view, and it's going to allow you to see different boards. If you had students invited, you could get into all of their different boards, which is fantastic. You can hide boards and, do different things in here. So again, more options. I always tell folks, you got all of the options, which is fantastic. And we're going to go back into single view. So it'll just bring me into one at a time. And then manage boards is where you're going to see all of the different boards that you have created. You can see on mine, I have failed to name quite a few. This is again why I really recommend make sure you name your board so you know the content. It's just going to save you time, so that way you don't have to go back. If you hit the eye, it'll take you into that board, so that's how you can see it. You see with your eyes. So I want to see what this one is. It'll take you into it. But if you label all these, it's going to just make your life a lot easier. So just know that. You may notice on some of your boards that you're going to have a little clock under expiring. Your boards automatically will have an expiration date. And that's because we create so many things, if we're never going to use it again, it'll fall off and it's just not going to take, memory and time and space and stuff like that. But of course, you can always tap the clock and then it's not going to expire. So you can see I've tapped all my clocks because none of my boards are expiring. I always have the option. I can, trash any of these. It's always going to ask you if you want to confirm. So two-step process. You don't have to worry about like the accidents and stuff like that. And I definitely say too, if you're creating a lesson or maybe you've done something and you looked out into the crowd and you're like, oh my goodness, like today they got it. This was a good day. You're going to be thinking about that. So as soon as the students leave, go into board management, save it, get rid of the clock so it doesn't expire. You can even create folders here as well. So that way you can start grouping things up to make it easier to find. So, a lot of information, but a lot of really fun information as well. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is if you go back from board management, it's going to take you into the board you were in. From board management, if you go home, now you can create a new board. So you can go back and forth. So there you go. At the end of each lesson, go into your board management. You can save it, you can trash it, go home, and now you're going to be ready to go for your next class. So hopefully that shed a little bit of light on the Newline Engage platform. Biggest thing I can tell you though is just play around. Lots of different tools, lots of different stickers and things like that to use. So make it your own and make it fun. Please don't hesitate to reach out should you have any questions. And thank you for being a part of the Newline family. We'll talk again soon. Take care.